Okay, here's just another quick video to hopefully prevent you having problems when you actually need this equipment. Obviously this is the jacking equipment for our camper van. At the back we've got wheel brace, jack, extender for the handle, and then a ratchet. So first of all you want to do is learn how to use your equipment. So I'm not going to go into it because everyone's jack's going to be different, but this really is a quick lift method here on the handle. Then when you engage this in the jacking points, you want to look in your manual to find out where the jacking points are on your van, and then make sure the ratchet works. But things that you may not think about is what's missing from this kit. You know, where is your spare wheel? Now I was going to investigate this anyway because we've had a bike rack put on the back of our van, or underneath the van. It can actually take a small motorcycle of about 170 kilograms. So I was going to research how I get my spare wheel off. So let me just take you underneath the van. Now looking at this kit, this is a very small hex drive, you know, as fat as my little finger. Now let's look underneath the van where our spare wheel is. So this is all the new metal work here where the bike rack is going, and you can just see the spare wheel tucked up there. So let me squeeze under here because it's a bit of a tight squeeze. So the first problem I noticed was, you can see this is the bolt that releases the spare wheel, and it's got a piece of angle line here, goes into the corner here and around. But the way it's meant to work is you release this bolt and then this whole thing would flap down. However, we've now got these triangular pieces here on our bike rack, so it's not going to go down. So that was my first thing why I was going to investigate this. But secondly, you've got to get that nut undone to release the spare wheel. So there is no spanner in my kit, but luckily a 19mm spanner does fit, and I'm going to unwind that, and I'm expecting that that metal bar there is going to hit on this triangular frame. So I'm hoping that when we look at this end of the rack, that this is the other end of the rack, so this is where it would lever down from. I'm hoping that this will lift up, across and down. I don't know. I thought I'd experiment anyway, as it's nice weather and I obviously have no puncture. But you know, when the time comes and you need to change your wheel, you want to make sure you got all the equipment. And I was short obviously a spanner for that nut, so let me undo that nut and I'll come back to you. So I make no apologies for the hand holding on this video because there is no room under this van. So the first thing I'm finding here with a normal socket spanner is it's very difficult because there isn't, I get that much turn on the nut. So getting in my case, a 19mm box spanner, because a socket wouldn't fit on that because the stud comes out too far. Getting a 19mm box spanner would probably make it a lot easier. Then I may be able to get like a, if the box spanner is sort of 6 inches long, then I might be able to get a ratchet on the bottom to do this a little bit quicker, because you know, if it was dark, raining, cold like it normally is when you get a puncture, you don't want to be here 10 minutes just trying to get the spare wheel off. And also, while I think of it, I think this spare wheel may be upside down, because there's no way I could get to the tyre inflator to check the air pressure or inflate the tyre. So once I've got this down, if it does come out, I think I'm going to flip the wheel over so at least the air valve is at the bottom, so at least I can do some maintenance on the wheel, on the tyre. So what I've done, I've got that bracket off, and I've put the jack underneath here because obviously the spare wheel's a weight, and I think it's going to lever down. As I said, this metal work over here is going to bash onto this and not drop down. So now at least I can lower the wheel down slowly and prove my theory. So I'm just winding it down by hand. So that's released the jack. So now I'm hoping that I can lift the back up of the rack and it will slope the other way. At the moment it's sloping towards the rear of the van. If I hopefully get this unhooked here, I can't really see that, but this unhooked, it should drop forward, but I'm going to need 2 hands for this, so I'm going to put my phone down. Okay, it's down. It did come down as expected. I had to get these hooks off these brackets, drag it towards the back of the van, and then it would drop down. But my gosh, a right royal pain in the backside. And yeah, as I said before, you know it's going to be wet, dark and rainy side of the road. But anyway, I'm going to flip the wheel over now and then try and get it back up. At least I've learnt how to do it, and should, when the time comes, at least I'm got a little bit of knowledge to draw on to make the process of changing the wheel a little bit easier. So putting it back up was harder than taking it down, really. So in the event of me getting a puncture, I don't think I'll be putting the spare wheel or the punctured wheel back up underneath. This frame will actually come out. So I put the wheel and the frame inside the van and then sort it out once you get away from the roadside. But yeah, it's a good idea using the jack to take the weight of the wheel while it's being pressed up, and make sure you know the correct way to install the retaining bracket. Mine only goes in, well, one way correctly, and that locks the bracket in and stops the bracket from sliding off the support bar. But as you see, I've turned the wheel around, so at least I can check the air pressure in the tyre, and it's secure again. But hopefully one of them jobs you never really want to do, but a little bit of knowledge that I've gained in the last half hour or so will stand me in good stead as and when it happens. So that's it. Now my toolkit is complete. I got the handle for the jack that goes on there. I got the extension that goes on here to make it further out. I got a wheel brace, and the most important thing that was missing is a 90mm spanner in my case. Now I don't know the history of this spanner. It is one of mine, but I obviously fold down the edges to get in somewhere close. But as I said, I'm going to look at getting probably a box spanner to make it easier. Anyway, that's handy. Good afternoon.